Do you want to be liked, or do you want to be respected? Think carefully, because the answer decides whether people will follow you or use you. Most people chase being liked. They smile more. They agree more. They soften their words, so no one feels offended. But what does it bring? A temporary glow, a shallow comfort. And then in the end, nothing. The moment you stop pleasing, the moment you stop entertaining, the affection vanishes. Machiavelli knew this truth centuries ago. He watched leaders fall because they wanted love instead of loyalty. He saw rulers bend over backward for approval, only to be betrayed the moment things turned hard. He understood a cruel but eternal law. Being liked is fragile, but being respected, that is power. In this video you will see why Machiavelli placed respect above likability. Not only in politics, not only for kings or princes, but for every person who dares to hold influence. You'll learn why the approval of others enslaves you. You'll discover how fear, when balanced with fairness, creates respect that lasts far longer than affection ever could. And you'll uncover hidden insights from Machiavelli's world, moments and warnings that history has buried, but still burn with relevance today. For example, did you know that Machiavelli himself was not respected when he was young? He was dismissed as just another bureaucrat. He tried to fit in. He tried to be liked in Florence's vicious court. And what happened? When the Medici family rose back to power, he was tortured, jailed, and exiled. They had no reason to protect him. Why? Because he was liked by some but respected by none. It was only in exile, when he no longer cared about pleasing anyone, that he began to write his masterpiece, The Prince, a book that does not beg for love, but teaches the raw mechanics of power. This is what makes his teaching dangerous. Even now, he reminds us that the need to be liked is a weakness. It chains you to the moods of others. It forces you to bend, to hide, to surrender. Respect is the opposite. Respect makes others bend to you. It makes them pause before they betray you. It makes your presence heavier, sharper, unforgettable. And here's something most people miss. Machiavelli never said cruelty should rule. He never praised blind fear. What he revealed is balance. He warned that a prince should avoid being hated, but he must never rely on being loved. Between love and hate, there is a middle path. Respect. It is this middle path that creates true authority. Stay with me until the end of this video, because I will show you the hidden cost of being liked, the signs that you are losing respect without realizing it, and the exact moves that can shift you from being a people pleaser into someone others cannot ignore. These are lessons few dare to practice, but those who do become unshakable. This is not just theory. It is a blueprint for real power. Whether you lead a business, a family, a team, or simply yourself, the difference between being liked and being respected will decide how far you go and how long you stay there. Welcome to Psych Algorithm. If you are ready to break free from the chains of approval and unlock the darker, stronger power of respect, make sure you subscribe, because here we don't chase comfort, we chase truth. And truth, as Machiavelli knew, is often dangerous. Before we talk about the difference between being liked and being respected, we need to step back and understand the man behind these ideas. His name was Niccolo Machiavelli. He lived in Florence during the late 1400s and early 1500s, a time when Italy was not one united country, but a collection of city-states. Each city was like a small kingdom, full of ambition, betrayal, and endless wars for power. Florence itself was ruled by the powerful Medici family, then overthrown, then restored again. Politics was a dangerous game, and it was in this chaos that Machiavelli built his reputation. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a king. He was a civil servant, a diplomat, and later a thinker who studied the mechanics of power. Machiavelli met kings, popes, mercenaries, and rulers of all kinds. He saw how fragile kingdoms could be. He watched weak leaders fall overnight, not because they lacked good intentions, but because they misunderstood human nature. Machiavelli's genius was not in dreaming about how the world should be, but in studying how the world really was. In exile after losing his position in Florence, he began writing. It was then he created his most famous book, The Prince. This was not a book of morals. It was not about being good, kind, or loved. It was about survival. It was about power, and in its pages, he presented one of the most shocking questions in political thought. Is it better for a ruler to be loved or feared? At first, the question seems simple. Of course, many would say it is better to be loved. Love feels warm. It feels secure. People imagine that love brings loyalty, but Machiavelli saw through this illusion. He argued that love is unreliable. Love is based on emotions, and emotions change. People love you when times are good, when you give them what they want, when their needs are met. But the moment hardship comes, that love can vanish. People who claim to love you may betray you, abandon you, or turn against you when it benefits them. Fear, however, is different. Fear is not based on shifting emotions. Fear is rooted in self-preservation. People may not like you, but if they respect your strength, if they believe there will be consequences for betrayal, they will hesitate before turning against you. Fear keeps people loyal when love cannot. Fear makes them think twice before crossing you. That is why Machiavelli wrote, "If a ruler cannot be both loved and feared, it is far safer to choose fear." But here is the part most people misunderstand. Machiavelli did not mean that a ruler should be cruel for no reason. He did not tell leaders to be monsters. He warned against being hated, because hatred is just as dangerous as weakness. He taught that the ruler must balance fear with respect, by showing fairness, by keeping promises when possible, and by avoiding unnecessary cruelty. A leader could earn respect, and this respect was far more durable than love alone. Think of it this way. A leader who is loved may be admired, but admiration fades. A leader who is feared may control, but control breeds resentment. A leader who is respected, someone who is firm, consistent, and commands authority, creates stability. Respect is not as soft as love and not as harsh as fear, but it holds far longer. Machiavelli reached this conclusion by watching the rulers of his time. He studied Cesare Borgia, the son of a pope, who gained power through ruthless tactics, but also by rewarding loyalty. He studied Florence itself, which collapsed into chaos whenever leaders tried to please everyone. He compared weak rulers who wanted to be loved with stronger rulers, who made sure they were respected. Again and again, history showed him the same truth. Being liked was never enough. His writings shocked people. They called him dangerous. They accused him of teaching evil. But Machiavelli was not creating evil. He was describing reality. He knew that humans are selfish, unpredictable, and quick to change sides when their interests demand it. To depend on their love was to build your life on shifting sand. To demand their respect was to build on solid ground. That is why The Prince still resonates today. Machiavelli's question, loved or feared, is not just for kings. It is for anyone who wants influence. In your career, in your edusix, in your life, the same law applies. Love can be sweet, but it is unstable. Respect, earned through strength and consistency, lasts. So before we talk about how to stop chasing likability, before we uncover the methods to command respect in your daily life, you need to understand this foundation. Machiavelli was not telling you to reject. He was telling you never to depend on it. If you have both love and fear, that is ideal. But if you are forced to choose, he tells you clearly, choose fear, because respect lasts when love fails. The trap of being liked is one of the most subtle prisons in life. On the surface, it feels harmless. Who doesn't want to be liked? When people smile at you, when they compliment you, when they nod in agreement with your words, it feels comforting. It feels like acceptance, like belonging. But this comfort is a disguise. It hides the truth that being liked is not power. It is a fragile illusion, one that breaks the moment you stop feeding it. Being liked depends entirely on emotions. Emotions shift as quickly as the weather. One day people may find you charming. The next day they may find you irritating. One day your kindness feels generous. The next it feels weak. You cannot control how others feel. Yet the desire to be liked tricks you into trying. And this endless chase is where the weakness begins. Liking is also built on expectations. People like you when you meet their needs, when you entertain them, when you agree with their opinions, when you sacrifice for their comfort. But the moment you stop, the moment you draw a line, their affection dissolves. They drop you as quickly as they picked you up. It is a shallow form of loyalty that demands constant feeding, constant sacrifice, and leaves you drained. Machiavelli understood this well. He observed that men are fixed. Their love is conditional, tied not to who you are, but to what you can provide. This is the hidden cost of likability. To maintain it, you begin to bend. You adjust your words so you don't offend. You agree with things you don't fully believe. You smile when you want to stay silent. Slowly, piece by piece, you trade your authenticity for approval. And while people may like you, they do not respect you. Respect requires strength. And strength cannot exist in someone desperate for affection. People-pleasing leads to weakness in another way. It makes you overworked. When you cannot say no, when you cannot disappoint, you take on more than you can handle. You burn yourself out in the hope that others will see your effort and reward you with kindness. But often the opposite happens. Instead of respecting your sacrifice, they see it as expected. They demand more. They push harder. And the more you give, the less they value it. Soon, you are not just overworked. You are ignored. The more you bend to please, the less weight your words carry. People learn that you will adjust, that you will yield, that you will not stand firm. And so, your authority evaporates. You become a background figure, someone useful, but not important. This is the true danger of being liked. It tricks you into believing you are gaining influence, when in reality you are losing it. Worse still, you become vulnerable to manipulation. People quickly notice when you crave approval. They learn the exact words, the exact praise, that will make you act. They dangle affection like bait, and to take it, you become predictable, easy to control, because you fear the withdrawal of their liking, and in this fear, you lose power. This is why Machiavelli warned against relying on love. Love and likability can vanish overnight. Fear, however, holds. Respect holds. Respect is not fragile like emotion. It is solid like stone. Respect is built not on how much you give, but on how much you stand. Respect is different, because it demands consistency. People respect you when your words align with your actions, when you say what you mean and follow through. Respect is not given for free. It is earned by showing sentiment even when it costs you affection. When you set boundaries, when you hold to your principles, when you refuse to bend just to be liked, people notice. They may not smile at you. They may not praise you. But deep down, they acknowledge your firmness. That acknowledgement is respect also grows when you act with integrity. Not the shallow integrity of pleasing others, but the deeper integrity of being true to your word and values. If you promise, you deliver. If you speak, you stand behind it. Even those who dislike you are forced to admit your reliability. This kind of respect is far stronger than any affection built on flattery. Another element is composure. When you remain calm under pressure, when you do not lash out with anger or collapse into fear, people instinctively look to you as a pillar. In moments of chaos, respect reciprocates toward those who do not lose control. Likability may fade when you deny comfort, but respect rises when you display strength. The effect of respect is powerful. It makes people trust you even when they don't like you. They may not invite you to every dinner or laugh at your jokes, but when serious matters arise, turn to you. They know your words carry weight. They know your boundaries cannot be pushed. They know your decisions are not swayed by flattery. This trust rooted in respect is what gives influence its true depth. And this brings us to what can be called the dark power of respect. Respect does not feel light. It does not feel warm. It feels heavy. It carries weight. It can even intimidate. People thinks before speaking against you. They hesitate before crossing your boundaries. They measure their words more carefully in your presence. This is not because they like you. It is because they respect you. Respect can create distance. It does not always feel friendly. People may not always relax around you, because respect is not about comfort. Respect reminds them of consequences, of standards, of strength. And this hesitance is what protects you. When you are respected, you are not easy prey for betrayal. You are not overlooked. You are not disposable. There is danger in respect. Yes. It may isolate you. It may strip away the shallow warmth of constant approval. But this danger is also its strength. It separates the serious from the unserious, the loyal from the opportunistic. Those who remain around you do so not because they like you, but because they cannot deny your authority. This is why respect, even when it feels dark, carries more power than being liked. It shapes how others treat you. It shapes how they think about you. Likability fades with moods, but respect carves itself into memory. And when faced with a choice between betraying someone they like or crossing someone they respect, most will betray the one they like and fear the one they respect. That is the reality Machiavelli understood, and it is the reality that still governs human behavior today. The balance between being liked and being feared has always been a razor's edge. Too much likability turns into weakness. Too much fear turns into hatred. The art lies in standing firmly between the two. That middle ground is respect. Respect commands authority without cruelty. It does not collapse into the soft desperation of pleasing, nor does it sink into the bitterness of tyranny. Respect is what allows you to lead without begging, to stand without trembling, to hold power without destroying yourself. Machiavelli himself understood this. He never said rulers must live as monsters. He said if you must choose between being loved or feared, choose fear. But what he meant, hidden beneath those words, that respect was the true weapon. Fear without cruelty is respect. Fear without hatred is respect. And in daily life, this balance point is what separates the powerful from the powerless. Too much likability makes you bend. Until you break, you lose your edge. You cannot say no, and because of that, you are taken for granted. People will walk over you without hesitation, not because they dislike you, but because they don't respect you. You gave them comfort, but you gave away your authority, and once authority is gone, people may like you, but they will never follow you. On the other hand, too much fear creates something equally dangerous. If people fear you to the point of hatred, they plot in silence. They obey on the surface but scheme underneath. Their smiles become masks, and their loyalty becomes poison. They nod at your words, but their hearts are against you. A leader or individual who rules only with terror builds a house of glass. One strike, one opportunity, and it shatters. Respect is the balance. It carries the firmness of fear without the cruelty. It carries the steadiness of strength without the weakness of people-pleasing. Respect is not about being loved, nor about being feared. It is about being taken seriously. When you have it, people may not always agree with you, but they cannot dismiss you. They may not adore you, but they cannot ignore you. And that is where real power begins. But how do you know if you are stuck in the trap of being liked? without being respected. The signs are everywhere, if you pay attention. People interrupt you. They cut across your words without hesitation. This is not because they dislike you. It is because they do not fear your voice. They assume your words carry no weight, that your presence is ut enough to be broken without consequence. This is one of the clearest signals that likability has replaced respect. Another sign: your words are not taken seriously. You can make suggestions, give advice, or share ideas, but they are brushed aside or forgotten. People nod politely, but they do not act on what you say. They see you as pleasant, but not powerful, agreeable, but not authoritative. This reveals the hollow core of being liked. It makes people comfortable with you, but not accountable to you. And there is another clue, one that cuts even deeper. People only come to you when they want something. They don't seek your counsel, your judgment, or your wisdom. They seek your help, your time, your resources. You are the convenient ally, the dependable provider, the soft cushion they lean on. But they do not see you as a figure of influence. They do not return to you unless they need a favor. This is not respect, it is utility. And when your utility ends, so does their attention. If you recognize these signs in your own life, you are standing in the dangerous territory of likability without respect. But you do not have to remain there. You can shift from the hollow ground of being liked, the solid foundation of being respected. And this shift begins not with others, but with yourself. The first step is to stop over-explaining. When you justify yourself too much, when you provide endless reasons for your decisions, you show insecurity. You reveal that you are begging to be understood instead of standing by your choice. Respect does not grow from over-explanation. It grows from conviction. Say what you mean, and leave it at that. Let your actions carry the proof. The second step is to learn to say no. This is the hardest skill for those trapped in likability. Saying no risks disappointing others, and disappointment feels dangerous to someone addicted to approval. But every time you say yes against your will, you lose a piece of your strength. No is a wall, no is a boundary, and boundaries create respect. They teach others that you are not endlessly bendable, that you cannot be used without consequence. Third, follow through on your words. Nothing destroys respect faster than inconsistency. If you promise and fail, people learn to dismiss you. If you threaten but never act, people learn to test you. But if your words are matched by actions, even those who dislike you are forced to recognize your authority. Your reliability becomes undeniable, and that is a cornerstone of respect. Another shift is to speak less, but mean more. Words are powerful, but only when they are rare and deliberate. The more you talk, the less weight your speech carries. Silence itself can command respect when used wisely. Speak only when you must, but when you do, let your words cut through noise like a blade. This balance of restraint and precision builds authority far greater than endless chatter. Finally, control your emotions. People respect those who do not lose themselves in anger, fear, or desperation. They respect those who remain calm under attack, who do not crumble when challenged. Emotional control signals strength. It signals mastery over yourself, which makes others believe you can master situations. Even your enemies, seeing your composure, will think twice before underestimating you. These steps are not about abandoning likability entirely. They are about shifting the foundation. If you happen to be liked while being respected, that is fortune. But if you must choose respect every time. And what happens when you make this shift? What are the rewards of respect? The first reward is that people listen, even when they disagree. Respect forces them to pause, to weigh your words. They may not accept your opinion, but they cannot dismiss it. This is influence at its purest, not agreement, but acknowledgement. The second reward is influence that does not depend on popularity. When you are respected, your power does not rise and fall with the moods of others. You do not need constant approval to maintain your authority. People may gossip, they may criticize, but they still measure themselves against you. They may not always like you, but they still obey the invisible weight of your presence. And perhaps the most profound reward is inner peace. When you live chasing likability, you are never free. Your mood depends on others. Their smiles become your fuel. Their silence becomes your wound. But when we live by respect, you stand taller. You no longer need their approval to validate your worth. You know who you are, you know where you stand, and that independence creates a peace deeper than the shallow comfort of being liked. This brings us back to the lesson Machiavelli wanted to carve into history. Being liked is temporary. It fades with moods, with whims, with convenience. Being respected is power. It lasts beyond a monsoon. It anchors influence into something unshakable. If you must choose, sacrifice likability, keep respect. For in respect lies not just authority but survival. It is the shield that protects, the sword that commands, and the foundation upon which real power is built. Stop being liked, start being respected. That is the core message of this entire video. And it is the timeless truth that Machiavelli left behind. Being liked may feel good in the short term. It comes with invisible chains. It ties your worth to the moods, opinions, and approval of others. It makes you bend when you should stand, smile when you should stay silent, and yield when you should lead. Being liked is a fleeting comfort, but it is never the foundation of power. Respect is different. Respect is harder to win, but once earned, it does not vanish with a change of mood. It does not depend on smiles or flattery. It is forged through strength, through consistency, through the ability to stand your ground when it matters most. People may not always like you, but if they respect you, they think twice before crossing you. They pause before dismissing your words. They carry your presence in their minds even when you are not in the room. That weight, that silent authority is what lasts. Think back through history. The people we admire, the ones who shaped events and shifted societies, were not always loved. Some were even hated. But they were respected. And it was that respect, not love, that kept their names alive centuries later. Love fades from memory. Respect carves itself into stone. This does not mean you should seek cruelty. It does not mean you must make enemies to gain respect. What it means is that you must choose strength over softness, boundaries over endless giving, and conviction over constant compromise. Likability will tempt you. It will whisper that being liked makes life easier, smoother, more pleasant. But what it will not tell you is that likability is hollow. It leaves you vulnerable, disposable, and forgettable. Respect is heavier. It may not make you popular, but it will make you powerful. And remember this: respect is not just about how others treat you. It is about how you see yourself. When you stop chasing approval, when you stop bending to every demand, when you begin to stand tall in your own authority, you will feel it. A quiet strength will take root. You will not need constant validation. You will not fear disapproval. You will no longer be a prisoner of other people's moods. That inner shift is where true freedom lies. So let this lesson sink in deeply. Stop being liked. Start being respected. Respect doesn't always make you popular, but it makes you powerful. And power in the Machiavellian sense, not about domination. It is about survival, influence, and the ability to shape your own fate. If this message resonates with you, if you see the trap of likability in your own life and want to break free, then stay with us. This channel is where we uncover the hidden truths of power, strategy, and human nature, the very lessons Machiavelli wanted the world to understand. So now, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey. Every week, we explore more of these insights, more of these strategies that help you see the world as it should be. but as it truly is. And in that knowledge, you gain the one thing that cannot be faked: respect. This is Psych Algorithm, and the path to power is only just beginning. Will you keep chasing approval, or will you choose respect? The choice, as Machiavelli would remind you, will shape everything.